Hello and welcome to this Dev Diary number 6 for Interbellum. Today I'll be going over a couple things. First thing, those of you that are astute, you'll notice that I said number 6 rather than a month. Our Dev Diaries will no longer be monthly. This is because videos take a fair amount of my time to create, even these initial creation, like these videos that don't have any editing that I do. And it's not really my forte to sit here and talk to nobody. And so making the videos sometimes takes a lot more time for me than it would for other people that I could be doing on the project. So I will now be doing these Dev Diaries when I have a significant amount of things to talk about to make the video and the update to the community worth it, rather than trying to do them every month. So this is Dev Diary number 6. I do have to go over it just because it happened last month while I was going through it. Those of you that pay attention to our Discord read that Azrael has been having some issues. Most of those have been medical. There has been a significant amount of work being done that has nothing to do with Azrael, but because Azrael was the one that was basically hosting the test server, because he needed specific data from it, because he's the creator of the server code, I had to put testing on stall. However, a couple things publicly have happened since then. For example, there's a builder on the there's artwork that got put on the builder here, for example, that people have been working on. I only put some of them on because some of them were really, really ugly and needed to be reworked. Looking at you, Slayer. But the primary reason that I'm putting out the Dev Diary today is that we actually have got a dedicated test server now. So I went through and set it all up yesterday, which means that I no longer require Azrael to be present in order to run tests. This has been up for about 18 hours now, without crashing. This is not a local version of mine. This is literally connecting to a server in northern France. And there was quite a few reasons as to why we got a dedicated server and why I'm pretty excited that I actually went and did that. And the first one is that I can resume testing and do things on the design side that don't have much to do with what Azrael wants to do related towards networking and core server. But I can still collect those dumps from when the server crashes to give to him so that he can do his work. Just as a side note, he actually is doing better now, but it's his own personal thing, so I'm not really going to say too much about it on this video, outside of what is impacting of the product. But yeah, so I get to do tests more consistently, so you're going to see, at least those of you who have put in a test application and are on the testing channels on Discord, you will see more you'll see significantly more tests coming in so that I can get information, so my balance team can get information and feedback from people. Related to the order of things that I put in the Dev Diary in June, I believe, we're actually going to be moving Bright Wizard up the scale a lot on the list, because ground targeted abilities will crash the server under certain circumstances, which makes engineers a not very functional range DPS at the moment, because they use a lot of ground targeted abilities for their grenades, which is like a good third of their abilities, right? So Bright Wizards are being moved up so that order in testing will actually have range DPS at first. Because, like I said, in that June diary, there was a list of the order of the things that we were going to test. And there was a reason for that order, and one of it was like role distribution. So change of the test is that I will be moving that up. The other thing that a dedicated server allows us to do is it allows me to have people work on the server without having to need access to the entire database and the server executables. Also means that I can have multiple people working on things simultaneously, which leads to the part of this video that I'm most excited about, because while I do like testing and that feedback, I also like being able to pull in more people to the project and get things done faster. And also not personally do some of this work. So we actually are opening up more staff applications. So previously we had 4 departments, which I've gone over in another dev diary. Now that I can have people do database work without needing the entire database and without needing server executables, because they can log into the test server and do it, we will now have 5 departments, which is the one that's being created is the database department. And we already did have a handful of people on staff who did database work, but they were in different departments. Like I had one from balance team that was doing database work. I had a community manager that was doing database work. Technically, I have done a lot of database work, and I'm in the design department. But the positions that we have open, this text document is going to be released to Discord as well, because I know not everyone watches videos, and not everyone reads the stuff that we post. But the first one here is for item creation. As most of you know, we have a item affix system that creates gear. It is significantly better to populate that ourselves than have the server automatically do it, because then the server will be stressing out every single time anyone looted an item, and if we plan on having people be showered in items, so it's easier for them to reference it from a database. So what this position does is that it basically uses this tool that I have created forever ago to create database entries, and then just plop it into the database here. We currently have like tens of thousands, but I want more, and we'll need more as time goes on and we change item levels, right? And that is what you do. For all of these job postings, I have kind of put like what their workload is, their creative expression, and any prior required skills, just to give a little more detail. Item creation, I have made I've gotten people who have literally never coded anything or used any database in their life to get this done. So it is a very teachable position and something that's easy to do. Almost everyone in Interbellum is self-taught, so outside of like 2 people, so don't be concerned about not knowing something, especially if it's one of these positions where it's where we will teach you. It's just work that needs to be done. Next part of database is NPC and game object creation. Basically, right now there is a whole bunch of vendors set up for testing and stuff like that, and a handful of like game objects that I make sure abilities function on. But as you guys know, in order for us to launch, we have to at least have PvE available from 1 to 30. We also would require NPCs in certain locations like war camps and, of course, the capital cities in order to provide services that people expect from an MMO. So these database developers will be creating those NPCs. You have a significant leeway on what you want to do, because we are not a restoration project of Age of Reckoning. So basically, as long as it fits within the lore, it doesn't like contest established lore, like you can't put greenskins in Altdorf. But as long as it doesn't establish that or go against established lore, you can make whatever you want. And we're basically going to allow our database guys to be able to be creative if they would like. Next position is the ability creation engine. So currently I am the only person who handles this. I'm the only person who actually works in the database and the client to make abilities and passives and tactics and things that NPCs use and items that have on-use effects and stuff like that. That is a weakness. It's not something that I am particularly happy with, so I want to train somebody to be able to do this. I will tell you that it is a fair amount of work. These five database files are specifically for those. It can take a long time to, not a long time, it can take hours to do about 50, 60 of these things. And that's from someone who currently knows how to do it pretty well. In addition to the database work, it also involves using tools to edit the client, so you do have to understand how the Mythic ability system works. I can 100% train someone how to do all of this, but it would be better if you at least know how to function in databases, simply because it's a little bit less I have to teach you in order to make it that. There is no creative expression in creating abilities, simply because you have to make sure that what is presented to players via tooltips and information is exactly how it works. And those things are designed by design staff like Balance Team. However, some things are very fun puzzles to figure out how to make them work. I do have a lot of fun doing this, even if sometimes I, have to build things exactly how they are pretty much on this builder, as an example. So another position open up is I found out how to create new animations using what the pieces that Mythic has, also assigning animations and effects. I'm the last person you ever want to do art. This is a extension of ability creation, and in our first test, we really didn't have a lot of this. I have done this for, I've done like a basic poor job of this in order just to have them. This person would refine those, make them better, make them more appropriate for the type of ability. As I wrote here, Mythic was not very good at labeling some of these things. So it's kind of like a fuck around and find out. Like you put the ability, you put the effect into the ability, and then you just fire it and see what happens. And this person would need to label these things because there's notes in the clients for it. Label these things, and of course assign the ones that make sense to the abilities and items and stuff. In order for the game to be prettier for those people who care about it. I'm not one of them, but there are a large number of people who like the game to be pretty as it can be. Next one is the Balance Team. We've had open applications for this for a while, but I was just reposting it here because I probably still need some. Your job on Balance Team is to collect ideas, argue those ideas with the rest of Balance Team, and to make the game better or to create new content for the game for people to play with. So, for example, a good example of this is Rune Scribes, because Rune Scribes are one of the first classes that were created. They actually have 2 Zergbusters at the bottom. They don't have a capstone and a Zergbuster like every other class. It would be Balance Team's job to create a capstone for them, equivalent to how it works with the other 23 current classes. And that's something that's actually currently being discussed in Balance Team itself. But that's an example of what Balance Team would do. The other component is they take ideas from the community, and as when we have a website, they'll also be debating those ideas publicly. There's a lot of jokes on the balance team application about it being difficult, but that's because it really is. Even though it's not a coding position, it's a lot of arguing without, you have to do it in good faith. You have to do it without making logical fallacies like straw man arguments and stuff like that. And you are a public facing position, at least to a degree, not as much as like a game writer or a community manager, but that like in that section you are public facing, and that can be difficult. We also have had open applications for lore masters for a while. I simply just need more. The primary job of lore masters is to make sure everything fits the lore and that it kind of has like a unified and fun story for people. People who don't know much about Warhammer lore, we want them to know more. We want to, that's one thing that Age of Reckoning did do with that Tome of Knowledge, where they try to get people to be interested in Warhammer lore. We took that, put that across our classes, right? But we also want to bring more people into this fun IP and make them love it as much as some of us on the staff do, in addition to creating a fun PvP game. So lore masters oversee quite a few things. They do hold conditional veto power on the grounds of lore only. So, for example, if someone, like I used earlier, someone put greenskins in Altdorf as a meat vendor or something, lore masters would say, no, you can't do that because there are no greenskins in Altdorf, except for the ones that are trying to, kill people on occasion. Lore masters also get to write tooltips, quests, and other components for Interbellum. They'll be able to make events when the live server comes up, stuff like that. We are now at the point that we want to make a website. While I do have at least 2 members of staff who could do this, they are currently doing other things. I'm being one of them. And if there is anybody that has the ability to create websites, we are now actually open to that because we have a server in order to place it on that is owned by us, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. And also, since we have a dedicated testing server and we're going to start pulling more people in and doing things faster, it's possible that we will need a website faster than I believe. So we are now posting that out there. My art lead needs someone to make tools. I wrote here precisely what he wrote to me in relation to that. You do have to know Python. You need to know pre-existing knowledge of 3D assets, or at least the ability to learn that from him. And he needs someone to create a tool related to pipeline access into the client, making things faster or easier for members of art. There's also game moderator, which I forgot to put on this document. I just need more of those because I would like to have as many of them, or my community managers would like to have as many of them as possible, so that we can actually cycle them out, and also so that we have them before we need them when we have people playing on the server. And then the last one is posted here. Simply, it's not available at the moment, but because currently Azrael does most of the server development, but he is contemplating opening up core server development to assistants in addition to plugins and stuff like that. The reason why I'm already saying it and posting it here today is because the skill sets are a little bit more rare, because you need to know like C++, and maybe C# in order to be useful in this particular area. I do already potentially have 1 staff member who could assist, maybe 2 now, like 1.5. But I'm posting it just in case anyone else is interested, so that at the time that Azrael is willing to open it up, I have a couple people that he can talk to. If you want to do this, like in the future, but do some other stuff that's easier in the meantime, we would love to have you for other things as well. Like I said, I do have several people who have different motivations on the project. Some people are here to learn, some people are here to make video games, some people are here for a resume. And those people who are here to learn, like I said, we have people who will train you and stuff like this. So if you have like some C++ knowledge and you want to get into it, that is available in the future here. That is pretty much everything I have for today's dev diary. I think I've said everything on my list. So yeah, those testers you're gonna see probably before this video even finishes uploading to YouTube. You're gonna see some stuff related to that, and I hope that I get a fair number of applications for some of the stuff because I don't want to do it myself. And so that we want to get this out faster and have more people working on the project now that we can. Like I said, that makes me very excited that we now have an actual dedicated server for this, so that I can start bringing in those people with significant risk to the entirety of the project, or with significantly less risk to the entirety of the project. I'll see you guys in the next diary.